Once upon a time, there was an old woman, blind but wise. Or was it an old man? A guru, perhaps. Toni Morrison had heard this story, or one exactly like it, in the lore of several cultures. Once upon a time, there was an old woman, blind, wise. In the version I know, the woman is the daughter of slaves, Black, American, and lives alone in a small house outside of town. Her reputation for wisdom is without peer and without question. The honor she is paid and the awe in which she is held reach beyond her neighborhood to places far away. One day, the woman is visited by some young people who seem to be bent on disproving her clairvoyant wisdom and showing her up for the fraud they believe she is. Their plan is simple. They enter her house and ask the one question, the answer to which rides solely on her difference from them, a difference they regard as a profound disability, her blindness. They stand before her, and one of them says, "Old woman, I hold in my hand a bird. Tell me whether it is living or dead." She does not answer. And the question is repeated. Is the bird I am holding living or dead? Still, she doesn't answer. She is blind and cannot see her visitors, let alone what is in their hands. She does not know their color, their gender, nor their homeland. She only knows their motive. The old woman's silence is so long, the young people have trouble holding in their laughter. Finally, she speaks, and her voice is soft but stern. "I don't know," she says. "I don't know whether the bird you are holding is alive or dead. But what I do know is that it is in your hands. It is in your hands." Her answer can be taken to mean if it is dead, you have either found it that way or you have killed it. And if it is alive, you can still kill it. Whether it is to stay alive is your decision. Whatever the case, it is your responsibility. Throughout the past year, I don't know about you, but I have observed a shift in how many people manage their primary relationships. All of a sudden, it seems record numbers of my friends have been separating from their partners or considering divorce. Still others are extracting themselves from lifelong careers or work environments that have just become too toxic to remain with health intact. And while not all relationships survived quarantine, I noticed that as the world reopened, many people had decided that, well, life is just too short to keep playing out the same tired relationship patterns in perpetuity. Or some dynamic that they had accommodated for so long was suddenly untenable. I thought about relationships. That really got me thinking about relationships and the silent contracts we make with ourselves and with each other. You see, close relationships are paradoxical. We enter into a relationship because it makes us feel safe, caught, held, really. Held in safety and security, comfort. Routine is part of that. But a healthy relationship provides not only safety, but also freedom. I mean, if a relationship begins to make you feel too caught, held too tightly, either in an earlier version of yourself or in a pattern that is simply stuck, well, it may be time to get free. and seek freedom, either within that relationship, if you can find it there, or possibly from the relationship entirely. And as one who mothers, and as one who is mothered, I recognize this as a tension you can carry throughout your life, being held and wanting freedom. As we heard in the poem earlier, it is complicated. We simultaneously want the love, and as much as we want to be held in comfort, we simultaneously, at the same time, want the love in our lives to set us free. And I tell you the story of the wise woman on the edge of town to help you understand your own power in your relationships, your own power and how to use it well. The wise woman is not being mean nor cruel to the youngsters. She is simply reminding them that they have the capacity to do great harm. In congregation, I am telling you that you have the capacity also to do great harm, and you have the capacity to let love soar. Now, in a couple of weeks, this congregation will vote together on whether or not you generally affirm adding an eighth principle to the Unitarian Universalist version of the 7 principles. Now, the 7 principles, for those of you who are visiting or are just don't know the 7 principles, that's also fine, is a foundational document that has been augmented. It has been changed perpetually throughout its 60-year history. The 8th principle places our racial justice commitments at the very center of our faith, at the core of our belief system. Now, we do not recite our principles as a creed or as a doctrine. As Unitarian Universalists, you can freely choose which principles are of deepest import to you and how you apply them to your life. And in this relationship with your faith, please make no mistake, you are always held to accountability, and you are always free to make your own choices. And so, when you vote in a couple of weeks, you should vote according to your own conscience. And however you vote, you will still belong here. You will still be a Unitarian Universalist. You will still be loved and cherished and held here. And in every way, the 8th principle, which was written and developed by UU congregants and not clergy, requires less commitment, in fact, and less accountability than our already robust anti-racism, anti-oppression, and multicultural resolution that this congregation wrote and developed and passed nearly a decade ago now. It requires less operable accountability than our congregational covenant, the document which we all agree to when we join the church. So we are all accountable to each other as our covenant requires. And we have already committed to humbly center those who are most marginal in the world, to center them in our congregation, to always stay aware of power dynamics and of systems of oppression whenever we engage with one another. Now, the 8th Unitarian Universalist principle, which invites us to join a journey towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institutions, is a mouthful. It is written by lay people. It is not perfect, but its intent is easy to commit your heart to. We commit to building diverse communities already that represent the multicultural landscape of our city and our world. We commit to actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institutions already. We commit to work against ageism, homophobia, sexism, ableism, anti-transgender ideologies, all those sins against the vision of beloved community to which we aspire. The concept of this 8th Unitarian Universalist principle gives us a theological foundation for anti-racism, freeing us to do the work that we are already choosing to do. And this is what it means to be radically welcoming. Your words and your actions are the evidence of your commitments, what you commit your heart to. Your words can cause harm to people who may be wondering if they can be truly welcomed here, truly held, and also if they can be free to be their true selves. And isn't that what we are all looking for? A place and a people that will hold us, that will keep us safe and accountable to each other, and also a faith that will encourage our freedom to grow, to learn, and transform. This is how we mother each other. This is how we nurture each other, keeping each other safe and supporting each other's growth, held and also free. It is the paradox at the center of all relationships. It is one we can never truly solve. It is always there as long as we live in relationship. And I know Unitarian Universalism can feel like a tiny precious bird you have found. I know it can seem like you need to hold it and protect it. But everyone who has ever mothered, who has ever held a tender bird precious in their hand, knows that that is not what birds are for. Birds are meant to fly. We are meant to change, grow, transform, and flourish beyond this life even. Our faith is meant to be taken up by new generations who will catch the bird for a while and hold it themselves before releasing it to the generation that will come after them. Our individual expressions of Unitarian Universalism are as diverse and as beautiful as, well, the spring flowers. It's true. It's complicated and beautiful. The way you are and the way you are a UU are completely unique and completely inspiring in their own way. That's what's so thrilling about coming together and having religious education programming and just finding out more about who we are. But when the flowers gather together, when each person's story meets and engages with the other, well, the result is just more stunning than we could ever be alone. Because then we are an abundant bouquet full of wild and holy love, full of abundant beauty, expressing our beliefs through the intertwined stems of relationship, the ways we care for each other, the way we catch each other, the way we free each other, making this community and the world more colorful, more beautiful than ever. And so our flower communion shall begin. Many of you have brought your own flowers from the gardens of your hearts, the ones you have tended, tender, precious shoots, and brought into this community of love and justice. It is time in a moment to come forward, one at a time, to take a flower, and in doing so, take a piece of someone else's heart, someone else's expression of their faith, someone else's beautiful uniqueness, a piece of their hope for this hurting world and this precious faith. And take it with you and keep it, at least for the day. So come now. I will invite this section first, and then after them, then this section will follow, and then this one. Silently take a flower and go out in peace and love as you go out into the sunshine of this radiant day we have all been given. Let us rejoice in it all.